IBC our short-term goal. So yeah, but and I know we've talked about we don't want leaders, but we need to organize ourselves. And I do not mean that we appoint somebody that now when the protest is called, you're the one who talks for us, but we need some sort of organization. I also like the way we've been communicating to other people. In terms that page Mushiri Mike's page is called, I think it's called Civic Rise. I really like how we've been doing things, ensuring that everyone understands what we are doing. And so even as we intend to continue with the protest, we also need to communicate this in different languages for everyone to understand, because we realize that people who go to the streets, they've not understood what exactly we're going to do. They just had that Tuesday kuna kwanga na maandamano and then they tokea. So let's not make ours a Pyrrhic victory. Let's actually have goals. And I want us to know that we are the only functional unit or functional organ in this country right now. The judiciary, to some extent, I think they're compromised. Executive, of course, that is at the beck and call of the president. The legislature is fakeless. So now, what do we do? And I think we need to start organizing ourselves, because we also do not want this rage to die, and we are not ending it here. We keep going. I for one do not want to get to 2026 and then just in case we do, we'll still have somebody sitting there. And if you look at the hierarchy of these things, for instance, now you call Ruto to resign, and whatever happens, he resigns, and then we have Gachagua, and then we decide no, Gachagua is a no, we impeach him, because I think for Gachagua the parliament can easily impeach him. And then who's next? Wetangula takes office for 90 days. All these are Ruto's people. Ruto will be ruling in proxy. So it will not give us what we want. But now, can we think of the best possible way that we can be served?
Melvin,
These guys are not. Kimuzi, I know I'm finishing.
Kindly wind up, juu watu ni wengi sana.
Okay, sawa. And also because these guys haven't been in office for 2 years. It's just been 1 year and a few months. So we need a way forward. Thank you.
Africa, I can see Africa. Kindly take over.
Kim, you
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yes, thank you guys. And I am today, as much as I am a disappointed Kenyan, I'm also a very proud Kenyan, because of what we are doing as the youth. And first of all, I want us to urge all of us that the distractions that are coming, tumeona vizuri, those who came for the press conference, those guys are government sponsored, and one of them, I really thank you guys, because you are doing the research. One of them, tunaona vizuri, he was behind Ruto in some interview. So let those people do not think that we are stupid. We are just the way I've tweeted today, that we are Gen Zs. We are informed. We do research. We are not being lied for. Wengine wamedanganywa sana. The other generations wamedanganywa sana, and they bought into it. With us, we do our own research. We validate the informations that we give and we get, we consume. Again, we are continuing with the protest tomorrow and Sunday. These people are going to come into our churches, and just the way we did last time, let us people to speak, because they're buying off our parents. They are buying off the older generation, like places like Eldoret, where they have brought goons walking with clubs within the city, within the town, scaring the youth. They are to insert fear into the people. We are this new generation. We are a generation that do not care about, and we don't get fear. They tried to insert fear into us, na tukakuwa na woga. But then it came and we woke up, ikatuambia kwamba tusirudi nyuma. Walijaribu kutushtua. Then when we realize who Ruto is, he really is, venye and how Avengers after everything,
I think
10
we've
years
lost
before.
you. Gerald, I don't think I can hear you. Can anybody? I think your speaker is not okay. So the lady Alexia, you can take off.
Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so first and foremost, to be honest, I think I'm happy with you guys, because if anything, anybody anatokea hapo mbele, points zangu anazisema, so it just shows we are all on the same level of thinking. But let me just put this quick. First and foremost, there's this guy who called Nelson alisema kitu the other day. As each system comes in government, the Westerners find a way to make us weaker and weaker. Let me give you an example. When our first president came to power, these guys could not handle, how is it called, dealing with the government. So they're like, hey, you guys, nikasi tujui kufanya hii kitu, ebu come lead us. And from there, these people have been giving themselves loopholes to make us weaker and weaker. That being said, you guys, you need to come to a perspective unafaa kuona the way these guys look at us. When you look at US particularly, these guys, I don't know, sijui kama nafaa kusema hii, but till now they still have an issue with their own black population. You get? So you think in your eyes you are seen as a Kenyan. You're just seen as how they see our watu wa huko nana. And I was seeing people saying, oh, let the international people help us. No freaking way. The power is in us and us alone. Because like there's no other way to do this except with us doing this. Someone said here we need to form a system ya kuendelea, whether it is a party or a council. That is something mandatory. We can't, and first and foremost, there's hakuna vile mtasema an influencer social media any mtu atini leader. Hiyo kitu I think I'm happy you are mko hapo, but there needs to be a system, whether a council or whatever, for airing these things hadi ifike the election year. Because if anything, at this point, there is nobody who is worthy to be a president. That's the reality. You can't say they are saying ati Gachagua, no. So itabidi tu ukai chini ukule ndimu, you wait 2027. But till then, something will have to come up. And you guys need to understand this. Even the Azimio party and whatever, none of these people are competent. Anybody mtu mzee, kwanza there's a picture I've seen, these church leaders, this guy anacheka sijui aje, like all his teeth are out. Me, I was like, no way, watu no. You need to understand, this is just a human being who happens to be a so-called religious leader. But like whenever we hear a story, oh, in his story too, whenever we hear it, oh, this pastor raped a woman, you're like, oh my gosh, ni pastor? Apana, ni mtu. He happened to be a pastor. So you need to, your title, that title is what gives the uzito, but these people are not helping us, if anything. But us having a system kutoka hapa kwenda huko ni hivyo. And the last point, you guys need to understand this. Our country penye tuko in terms of demographic, we have a very huge young population. When you look at these developed countries, when they were at this particular stage tuko, that's when they were building themselves to be where they are. Because nowadays you hear, oh, this like Japan has a low birth rate, low young people, blah blah blah, not. Penye si tuko, we are different from them. This is where you najijenga. But when people are seeing you develop, they're like, no freaking, these are monkeys. Unafaa kukua chini. That's what they are saying. I think so anyway. But yeah, Nivo, so please, this momentum cannot die no matter what. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your sentiments. Before we invite the next speaker, I'd just like to ask a rhetorical question. They are asking for dialogue, so I'm asking myself, Ruto does not know what needs to be done. The people in government, they don't know what they need to do. So we have to tell them, we have to meet them and tell them, listen, this is what needs to be done. These guys know exactly what they need to do. You should read their manifestos. It's manifestos as major what they need to do. But once they get power, they do the complete opposite. Okay, so the next speaker, let's take a gentleman. Ibrahim.
Hello guys, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so guys, thank you Maze for hosting this space.
Young people of this nation. Okay, number one, if you have noticed, we have labeled our protest the rage, and it's true we are angered by this government. But kitu moja lazima tufanye, because these politicians are very crafty. Let us maintain the rage, maintain the anger, but have a clear course of action. So we have seen suggestions kwa Twitter line. Kuna watu wanasema civil disobedience. Yes, that works. We can also do cancel culture. It applies very well in our case because sisi tuko wase digitally. Then we also need to avoid listening to any stuff from this government. Kuongea ukweli, these guys are right now in self-preservation mode. If we start listening to them, tutaanza slowly to fall back into their paths, and that is what they are doing. Hao wana print t-shirts, wanafanya nini? Hiyo yote ni nonsense. If we can see through that and to baki resolute to our course, I think we're going to take this nation back. Now, the next thing I wanted us to discuss about ni IBC. You see, guys, the people who are in power, we are complaining that they are not lawful. They are violating court orders and all that. But one thing we have not yet realized, that is high, and not a lot of people are talking about, there has been a selection panel in place since 30th March 2023. We are now in 2024 and we don't know what that selection panel has been doing. There are people who've been getting salaries and they have not yet settled down on the people who are supposed to lead to head IEBC. So right now, even as we continue with our protests, we must make sure that the message that needs to be heard is that the IEBC should be constituted and budget should be assigned to the IEBC. Ndio tusiambiwe IEBC ndio hii lakini do hakuna. Have you seen what Zakayo has resulted to? Kwa sababu ya hiyo finance bill amesema sasa juu alisema hawataki, sisi tumekata pesa, alafu sasa juu tumekata hiyo pesa development hakuna. Tusiambiwe vitu kama IEBC budget hakuna na vitu kama hizo. So we push that as we continue with our protests, so that even as we are getting ready for a new form of leadership, we can have the right structures zenye zitakuwa in place to help guide us there. We don't want to go down in anarchy. We want to still have a country as we achieve the goals of our protests. Then the next thing, I want us to be very categorical about wale MPs wanaenda home. We guys must set a precedence. Once we set it, hakuna watu in the future watakuja kugo against chenye wananchi wanataka. People have still not yet understood the concept of democracy and how we should divide the three arms of government. That's why tunaonanga waheshimiwa, mhesh, unampisha kwa njia. That person is a servant. Once we don't realize that they are there to speak on our behalf, that the executive is there to implement whatever these guys create in parliament, that the judiciary is there to negotiate hizo conflicts zenye zitatokezea hapo in between, we get lost. We see them as gods. They are not gods. So we need to put them where they belong. Lazima tutafute hao MPs wenye we will recall as soon as IBC is back. Then I also want us to push for a referendum to put caps in salaries. Hii government, by the way, if you have noticed, there are very few public servants in Kenya compared to our population. But ukisikia zile vitu wanaita recurrent expenditures, hizo za salaries and nini, maze, it's a very big percentage of the budget. As long as we'll be silent about that, as long as we'll be silent about the fact that we pay very few people in this Kenya a lot of money that can be used in development, na tuendelezeshe the private sector in our own ways, then we'll always be screwed by this government. I think kama ma MPs, kuna upuzi walifanyanga last time wakati kulikuwa na new budget, ati walijiongeza pesa sijui to cushion themselves for the hard times ahead. Man, hiyo kitu imeniuma hadi wa leo, and it is something that came on the magazetes na hata sikusikia watu wakiongelea. There are some things that should just make us furious, and these people should know that we are out there and we are watching. Finally, mimi nikimaliza, good democracies inakuanga constituted of systems, so that even if one system comes out, even if one bunch of leaders comes out, the others who get in, they get on the same system na waiendelezeshe. The people who've been in our systems have been making them weaker and weaker by the day. But do you know why those systems are getting weaker? Some of us are not informed. We don't have knowledge. Tukiangalia systems theory, for those who've studied it moja mbili, lazima tuelewe venye all these parts of the systems work, so that we can know where to manipulate, where to press, where to push, so that our systems work best. Sindio? Now, tukijiuliza, sisi wenyewe tunaelewa our systems. Who here can say that they have a very good understanding of the Public Finance Management Act? Ukiambiwa zile vote heads zinapeanwa kwa budget, ukipewa hivi, can you explain them? Is it possible for us to make the government break them down, so that even the governments that we will be putting in place as the young people in the future, wasitufunike na hizo vitu sijui repairs nini? It is very possible in this age of technology to even have a website that monitors all government projects, that monitors all the budgets in all those offices zenye tunaambiwa.
Okay, thank you. I would like to cut you short, unfortunately, because you know request ni mingi and we want everyone to talk. Najua hii radio ati watu wawili wanaongea, we want. So thank you. I appreciate your sentiments. I've heard you so much and you've spoken well. I would like to ask speakers, let's be keen so that to avoid kujirudia. If something has been said, as much as you want to say it, let's so that at least everyone gets a chance to air their views. Next speaker, lady.
Alafu Oliet. Before uendelee, the theme should remain Ruto must go. Like what was
exactly, Ruto must go.
The momentum should keep going, because many people are losing the energy, the momentum. We should keep the conversation going. If there is no dialogue with Ruto, because we are having dialogue with corruption, if we want to have a dialogue, then we should not have Ruto.
You can't dialogue with someone who is killing you on the other hand, because how can someone kill you then tell you ati sasa kujeni tuongee hizi killings ni mingi? Honestly, does it make sense? Okay, Shiko, take over.
Thank you. I'm just trying to talk because I know my phone has been behaving funny. Sijui ananichuja spaces or what is happening. Every time I get the speaker mic in and it drop. But one thing I wanted to say is, one, we cannot lose momentum right now. I understand we are mourning. I understand we are pained. I understand it's frustrating to see our people die. But today, after Ivan's burial, I know it's a reason for us to keep going. So we must keep going. That is a fact. And I think just for me, the question I wanted to ask all of us is, I know I've seen a circular where we're saying on Tuesday we're sitting on the roads. Can we just make it a mass vigil where we go out with photos of those soldiers we've lost, and as a way of also regaining momentum, Kimuzi, and just saying we are here and doing solidarity for these souls, and they just cannot die for the sake of it, and their death or their lives must count for something, and their the loss that we have must count for something at the end of the day. Hao watu hawezi kuwa wakitudanganya. And I agree, we cannot negotiate with a madara. But at the same time, we need to ask ourselves, how do we make sure all of us are able to express themselves and we're able to harness every single thing that we need done and say these are our demands, and we're not backing down until all of them are met one by one, including Ruto leaving office. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being brief and direct to the point. The next speaker, Dr. James, you can take over. Or Kimuzi have something to
And
say?
actually, all yet, people should be actually short, precise, and brief like that, so that everyone can talk.
Hey, thank you guys for this space. Mine is simple. I just have a few points that I would like to contribute to the motion. One, the question of the way forward as we remember our fallen heroes. I would say, like everyone else has been saying, that one, those churches that are trying to support our politicians and where our politicians are going for their Sunday services, that we must keep the hashtag Salimia Hawa Wazee, our pastors, our viongozi wa hizo makanisa. We need to keep speaking to them and greeting them daily. Salimia Hawa Wazee. The other thing that I would suggest is we want to honor those heroes that have left us, who are keeping us in motion. One is that this has been mentioned a couple of times, and I would like to repeat it and emphasize on it, that we need to go to their barriers, to their memorials in masses. And as we go to the memorials in masses, we need to carry some ribbons. It can be red, white, or black. And we cover our mouths. We don't have to speak anything. And at the same time, in those masses, we have to make sure that the politicians who are coming to attend do not get close to the memorials or the barriers. We keep them off. And the other thing that we need to keep doing is that we have to keep pressure on these politicians. Because, I don't know whether you know the philosophy of Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh says that bees only exist to make honey. And this honey is only for Winnie Pooh. And this is the philosophy that is very, very widespread within the African countries, within the African leadership and politicians, that people only work to produce so that those in authority may have it and have it all. And this mentality that they also assume that the government is there to serve them, not them to serve the people. That they have been elected to serve the government and then forget that the government are those people who elected them, and they want to eat from the same government. This is not possible. So this mentality of Winnie Pooh, that bees only produce honey so that Winnie Pooh may have honey, we have to keep this conversation going. We have to debate with them. We have to go towards them. We have to tell them this is not possible. Stop. And this is why they are using the police. This is why they are using the military to beat us up, to kill our own people, to use live bullets. Who gives them the mandate? Who gives them the authority to kill our people or to send the police and the police force? So the last conversation we need to have is also that with the police force. Why are our brothers and sisters killing us? Yet they suffer even much more than ourselves. Don't they understand the cost they are taking? Don't they know that when they go to war and kill someone, they never come back the same persons again? This conversation of morality, we have to talk and keep on pushing to our police force. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your sentiments. We hear you. You can mute the mic. who has not spoken? If you've spoken, kindly drop the mic so we can add more speakers, and also we try as much as possible to be short and direct to the point. Nduta, you can take over the mic.
How are you all? I will try and be very precise. In terms of the motion today, it's about the fallen soldiers, the fallen heroes. Because of their unwavering commitments, that is why we are here. In their hearts lied courage, hope, and unwavering support for change. Therefore, their sacrifice should not go in vain, and it should ignite change in all of us. Therefore, I think we should hold a vigil. There's a lady that has mentioned a vigil on Tuesday. Like if it was to be Maandamano on Tuesday, I think that Tuesday should be dedicated for a vigil. We just hold candles as much as even others are away. We've already held candles in other parts of, in other places. Like in Australia, we had a vigil yesterday. So I think that vigil should be a priority. This is to give them their respect, to show respect to them. And then how did we end up here? As much as we are mourning, as much as, you know, I understand I am a mother, people have lost children, but how did we end up here? You know, what is our biggest enemy? What is our biggest problem? For us to get here, how did we end up here? It should not be that lives of people, do not matter more than a bill. It should not be that way. This is not our country. We cannot all be saying, oh, we don't have a country there. We want to change that statement that we have a country. We should have goals. I think people are now becoming disintegrated and move. When people start moving to different directions, it's because the goal is not precise. It's not implicit. That goal needs to be precise. There needs to be a long-term goal and there needs to be a short-term goal. What is our short-term goal? Can it be written? Can it be precise so that people move in one direction? There's a lady that said that a space like this can be used for a committee, and I want to reiterate the same. People need to have a space where we don't have to have leaders. We don't have to have people that are leading this movement. It doesn't need to be there, but a committee that can amplify what we're talking about, that is enough. They're asking for a dialogue. Our dialogue is simple and clear. Why are they asking to be told the same things? It's about accountability, integrity, authenticity, transparency, and proper governance. That is the dialogue. Why is somebody asking for another dialogue? That is clear. You know, somebody should be listening actively. Why are they asking for another dialogue? The moment those people will present and now present other things that will not look like what people were pushing for, then we are dismantled. To go into I want to talk about two things. You know, our biggest enemy is much more triggered by the bill, but the bill is part of the problem. Our biggest enemy is institutionalized corruption. How can we fight this bull? How do we bring corruption down? What can we do to pull the enemy down? Because even if the bill, you know, now that he has refused to assent to the bill, yes, he has refused to assent the bill, but I'm also in between. I'm 50-50 between the bill, whether it's going to be, you know, I'm in between. It is only the lawyers that can tell us. And today I had a lawyer talk about he cannot withdraw, not even the members that introduced it. So where do we stand within the 14 days? For corruption to be tackled, I think it's somebody has said we need to hit exactly where we were hitting before. Ruto must go, and it should be loud, clear. This man has failed the young people. If you want to kill a nation, start with the young people. He has failed all of us. You know, we bestowed hope in him, and he has not rendered. He's micromanaging. He cannot listen with empathy. He's egoistic. He has a closed mind. He's now blame shifting. You know, how do you call people that are trying to push for their democracy? How do you then call them terrorists? You know, our forefathers were called by the colonialist man terrorist. Why? Because that's what they were fighting for. They were fighting for the truth. Anybody who is informed, anyone who is has information, has power. You know, these young people are all activists. That is why we don't have a leader. We are all informed. You are all educated, and that's where our armor is. So we don't need somebody to direct us. We are already all informed and empowered. We have a direction. It's only that for us to move in one amplification, we need a center point. Like this space should be used for that. And then in police brutality, why are these people treating us like this? But the problem is much more. It is still, it roots to the same thing: institutionalized corruption. You know, these people are trained differently. Why can't they reinvent the training? Their conditions of life. I used to school with one policeman when I was doing my studies there. Yeah. And the picture that I saw where this man lives, it still lives with me. If you put people in a unit of four people live in one house, they are psychologically tortured. That is torture. That's an angry man. I don't expect him to come out here and see people rooting for the truth, people protesting for the truth, and him to differentiate between rioting, and protesting. He's first an angry man. He will shoot to kill. He's given that order, he will shoot to kill. He will lose humanity. If we improve their lifestyle, if we improve their lives, I think we have more agendas to dig deep down. I am more bitter about the church. The church has been quiet all this time. Somebody has echoed that. The church needs to be dealt with. The colonialists, you know, he invaded us through the church. And somebody is also using the church. He's also hiding through the church. Why has the church been silent? You know? I was in a church, I live in Australia. I was in a church and somebody told me, you're consumers of gospel. I got angry. I have never gone back to that church. Why? Because it infuriated me. How can somebody tell me I'm a consumer? Because they still have that colonialist mind that we are consumers. And it's true, because they interpret on people who are illiterate and uninformed. If you want to go somewhere where people are informed and illiterate, first start with the church. I know these are very painful sentiments. Some people might enmity because of, form enmity out of my sentiments. But I am speaking out of digging deep in research. People hide in the church. The shockaholic. Can you imagine? Kidneys harvested, brought to Australia, a whole country like this, and that white man has not been arrested. That Pastor Mackenzie was arrested in Kenya, yes, but is this other one on this other end arrested? No. That man was asked, why are you not arrested? Kenya is corrupt. He said it so explicitly. I was so angry. I wanted to slap him if I could. You know, you have killed 429 bodies. What did Kindiki do about those 429 bodies? What has he done? Have they even investigated what were those bodies being done for? You know, people are dying in a church for hunger, but is it only the church? Even outside, people are dying out of hunger. That is why we have normalized hunger. Like it looks at a new normal. You know, let us dig deep into what we can move forward with. If it's the church, we should be like Rwanda. We should step up. You know, in 2021, Rwanda closed all those churches to standardize them. We should start by closing those churches. We should start closing those churches. You know, these churches are the cause of all problems. We should standardize them. You know, I was listening to another pastor. I'm not going to mention their name, but he was busy in a sermon. I was on a sermon on TV, and somebody tells people, you know, if you go to Dubai, these are demonic countries. Your blood in a nyonywa. You know, I could listen and get more angry, and I switched off the TV because you are leveraging on illiterate people and informed people. I've been to Dubai three times. What are you talking about? That people, you know, Dubai is a demonic country. You know, these leaders of those churches, they have commercialized churches, and that's why this man can also hide in the church. He can come through the church. Those churches need to be standardized. They need to follow a structure. And if we do so, we are actually attacking the bigger enemy, corruption. Because how can that man be giving 2 million to churches every now and then? Let's look at 1 billion. How much are we losing every day in corruption? It could be worse than Uhuru. In Uhuru's days, I remember Uhuru saying we were losing 1 billion a day. That might, you know, round up to so how much? I don't know. But how much are we losing today? That was then. How much are we losing today? In billions. We need to attack the major points. We need to go straight to the point. And on IMF, before I close, IMF is there to make sure that sustainable growth of a country is there. They make policies to promote that financial stability. Why are we not looking into the sides of what it's supposed to do? Why are we being puppets of the IMF? You know, I looked at the IMF on the stand of this, you know, they said, ignore the protest. I was so infuriated. I was so furious. You know, ignore the protests. Ignore was the word. Ignore the protests. Really. Even a man in his own senses can see that we are just under colonial, new imperialism. Why is somebody closing their eyes? Why is he so blindfolded? You know, he should look into the interests of the country. The young people have spoken. That's where the nation is. If you kill the young people, you're killing a whole nation. These countries that we are in Australia, you can't come here if you're more than 45 years. Why? Because they don't want damage in their own economy. Because when you're 45 plus, you have started, you don't have the energy to work. Why are you sending your young people to other countries to go and exhibit their own economies, to go and develop their own countries? How did we end up here? How did we end up here? Our country can actually, can import those skills back. Come study here. If you notice that somebody has the skills, bring them back home. What are we talking about? Increasing a tax base. Who advised the president to increase a tax base? Yes, I understand that was a very smart man to advise him that, you know what, for us to look at indirect taxes, we can increase the tax base. But what did they look at? Our average income is 22,000 or 25,000 for averagely everybody. We don't have that much tax base. We cannot compare the tax base of the West to the Kenyan tax base. How do you increase indirect taxes? You are taxing the person that was taxed directly when they are employed, and then you're increasing the taxes indirectly. You are now imposing struggle. You are making that person, you're crashing people. How can we reason like this? Who are these people rationalizing like this? Are they really experts? Is he using the real experts that we should be, we should be leveraging on the skills that we have. Those expertise should be telling me the truth. That cannot be utilized. If somebody Ernst & Young is not in Kenya. If somebody wrote that from Ernst & Young, I don't think Ernst & Young is in Kenya. It's in Britain. You're coming to improvise something that is used in the West. What is the average income of the West here? Everybody drives a car. We are equal, all equal. It could be the MPs are not paid like I am paid, but we are all equal. He could be driving the same car that I'm driving. He could be buying the same car that I'm buying. But are you going to improvise that in Kenya? The young people are suffering already. Why can't you think to reinvent something different? A lady that was here before talked about something that he had a point. But this is the point: tax cuts. Why can't we look at the new reinvention? Why can't we cut the taxes? She mentioned that Ireland has 12% corporate taxes. Can you imagine that? Australia has 30%. I can't imagine. I want to go and research on Ireland. I'm interested to know about Ireland because 12%, and somebody is busy increasing our indirect taxes. Why can't we look at government injecting more money to just spend more and entice the businesses to spend more? Therefore, you're collecting more taxes. If you entice the businesses to have more businesses, you're increasing the income where you can tax people. And then the same people, myself, if I had run a business, I'll go and buy the same bread you're trying to tax, the same salt you're trying to tax. Myself, if I'm employed, if you entice more businesses to inject more on the businesses, I will be there. I'll be bringing you the tax. But also, our bigger enemy is, where are those taxes going? We need accountability. And that's why I say the dialogue is accountability, integrity, authenticity, transparency, and proper governance. If we need to give taxes, we need to be assured that the government will use those taxes for the right reasons, it should be appropriately used. Those taxes should be directed to the proper use. We need to understand, we need to be assured that even as much as we pay taxes, it's not the bill that we are fighting. It is a bigger animal. It is a bigger animal. The dialogue should be accountability, integrity, authenticity, transparency, and proper governance. That way our system will function. And then again, we should not recycle these old people. They need to go home. They need to retire. We are not shortage of skills. We have people in these countries, in West countries, they have left Kenya. They come here. You cannot be here if you have not gone to school. You cannot be here with shortage of skills. You don't have a skill, you will sit at home and you'll have nothing. The bills will run after you. You cannot even afford to sit back without skills. You have to take yourself back to school, go get skills, come back, help the country. Same as the country should do. Let that country import back the skills. We are not shortage of skills. We need people to come back and reinvent that country, and it should be the young people. If we are moving forward, we should have a goal. The ultimate goal should be 2027. If we are getting there, if you're not, he should go home. But if we get to 2027, it should be young minds, and it should be fresh actions, fresh thoughts, fresh everything. Thank you very much, Kimozi.
Well, thank you so much for that. Actually, it's powerful points you have raised, And I really like that umeguzia almost everything yenye tunaongelea hapa, and I need such speakers. Like, we need to talk about such facts. We need mali nimeipenda sana, it's about meritocracy, the skills. Get skills. Kauna skills kainja ya government, kainja ya civil service, kainja ya PSC, TSC. Like, just stay home. EPRA is infiltrated by people who don't have a good certificate, doesn't have necessary skills. Places like Kengen, watu wamejudge wanajuana. Places like all these parastatals of Kenya, people wamejazana and they don't have skills. That's why they are collapsing. The other day I was saying NIS has a politicians' kids. That's why it's collapsing. They don't have information. So what I'm trying to say, raise such points like guzia facts kama meritocracy. Tuna export people who have skills waende wafanyia wazungu kazi instead of utilizing them in Kenya. That's brain drain. We shouldn't be encouraging brain drain, because I know people who can make very important things, very important decisions in Kenya to change, to make our nation move forward. So what I can really instill, or I can say, I need such speakers who can raise very valid points for our country. This is what we are fighting for: tax accountability, meritocracy, justice. We are fighting for, because I see people relenting, and we have people who are killed, their lives were lost for no reason. We should not relent. The fight is still on. Like, I want people who talk because they have experienced it. I have experienced the want for exploitation of labor. I want person to talk about the experience because she or he or they have been denied a job because of nepotism or corruption. We should talk about such issues. That's why we are saying Ruto must go, because he has lied to us. He told us he will come and correct this, and he hasn't corrected. Look at the police who was shooting the person yesterday on live camera. He knows nothing can be done. That Isaiah Nduma or something, he knows nothing can be done to me. I can shoot even the camera person. Nothing. We should, and I'm really insisting on this, because kama umetoka nje ya Kenya, uta realize systems work, democracies work. Like, hawezi tishiwa just for speaking against your leaders. Leaders are very accountable. Kitu kiasi ameresign, kitu kiasi ameresign. Why are Kenyan leaders wanakatalia kiti? Ni nini bill Ruto alikatalia sana until watu wamemalizwa? Mbona amekatalia kitu hadi watu wauawe? Why? We should be raising such pertinent issues, such important issues. Thank you. Next speaker. I can see Jelani, I can see Davis, I can see one of you can raise a point. Preferably a gentleman, then a lady.
Okay. Kimuzi, unanisikia?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right, let me go. Good evening, guys. First of all, let me start by sending my respects and condolences to the fallen, and prayers to their families. Also, prayers and best wishes to the injured in the hospitals. Wherever they are, mwenye anawatembelea, kindly let them know that we think about them and we pray for them, even the families of the fallen soldiers. I'll be brief. I'll tie myself to 4 minutes. I'll try to tie myself to 4 minutes. So the first point that I want to raise is one is I feel like the energy is being lost. I don't know why. We are supposed to be getting more anger. We're supposed to be more angrier than how we were 2 weeks ago. They've killed at least the recorded one, the official recorded ones claim to be 20 plus, but we all know that these numbers in Githurai and in Rongai, we know numbers are more than those. So the energy should be everyone should be getting angrier. Yeah, these were comrades that we were working with. Some people are reporting that they experienced death next to them. So we should be getting more angry. I don't know why the energy is losing. There's no relenting at this point. There are people who've put everything. There's no nothing to go back to. So if this doesn't work, if Ruto doesn't leave, kuna watu wameweka all their all in this war. So I think with all due respect, let's push. When you wanaweza, let's push. Even if itafika point where soldiers get tired, we've seen it, yeah, and we respect them. We respect those who get tired on the way, but those who know what they are fighting for, those who've lost due to the government poor management, let's keep on fighting. Point number 2 is the unity. Unity is key. Tumeanza kurushiana mikono, tumeanza point fingers, it's us actually. This thing we are claiming that they are picking leaders for us, but it's us who are making these leaders. Yeah. Mtu akisema kitu, all of a sudden these guys don't claim to be the spokesperson of Gen Z, but the moment they go and say something, mtu amesema amechoka, mtu amesema don't do this, then we all of a sudden start attacking that person as if he's speaking or she's speaking for us. I think it's us who are giving them the power to do so. If someone personally claims he's tired or she's tired or she's not going to work, she's not going to march, or he's not going to march with us, it's not upon us kwanza kumsomea manini. Let them be sisi tuendelee na march, because the moment we start fighting them, it sounds as if they were our leaders and now they are turning their back on us. So this thing is leaderless, tribeless, and fearless. The fact that it's leaderless, we're not supposed to be pointing fingers. We don't have a structure yet, so we can't be blaming anyone for branching off the course. We just try to sway them back in. We need as many people as we can. So Msaki akisway away, we try to bring them back. We don't fight them. That part naona ni kama, and it's what has been destroying us, I think, for the past 2 days. We've been focusing on fighting each other for the past 2 days. I think that one needs to change. Point 3. What do we do next? Because this space, I think it's about the way forward. For me, I think we have a bigger goal, which is Ruto must go, and this we must every single time tukiwa street, whether tumeenda ku light candles for our fallen soldiers. This one must always be passed across. Every time tukiwa TL ukiboeka midnight, mimi namkanga midnight, nasikianga mbu imepita nikiamka nasema Ruto must go. This thing Ruto must go has to be the bedrock of all this, but we need to set milestones. You see, the reject finance bill was a milestone that was achieved. Now watu walifurahia, and those kind of milestones keep people motivated. So we need to set milestones. As much as we are pushing for Ruto must go, Ruto must go might be the largest picture, but we need to set milestones that can motivate motivate the comrades. Milestones zenye mimi naweza suggest: occupy churches. This should be an every Sunday milestone. Every Sunday we just need new posters so that they keep the thing lively. I've seen Mobili shared a poster which is quite good. I think every Sunday inafai kuwa tu a standard. Every Sunday we are doing occupy churches, and we occupy churches with a purpose. Hakuna politician anaongea kwa church. We are not violent. We can allow them to get in and worship, but hakuna mtu anapatiwa platform kuongea. We can have then now I think we are all agreeing that IBC is the center of our movement. Like, the way forward for us is through IBC. I think our next push to Prezo, our next push to Ruto should be constitute IBC. I don't know if that can be a hashtag on its own, and this needs to be happen as soon as next week. Constitute IBC, because the IBC hapo wametushikilia vizuri sana. It's like they are holding us with the balls. Yeah, we can't do anything to our MPs unless we frustrate them. Na tunaona ni kama pia wana grow resilience, and they have more resources than we do. All we have is the power of unity. Yeah, they have the resources. Wanaweza manipulate. You've seen what they have tried to infiltrate us, and in some ways they're succeeding because they have the resources. All we have is the unity. So the MPs fighting them, I think IBC they have choked us without the IBC. So I think we need to have the IBC, and this one we need to push Ruto to constitute IBC as soon. hata kama next week tunaweza anza or next week but when we need to push the same way we pushed him to reject the IBC the finance bill, we need to push him akuje nje aseme tomorrow. This is, I don't know the process that is required to do so, but we need him to come. We need to push him the same way we pushed him for finance bill. Akuje nje aseme tomorrow we are constituting the IBC. Ama I've done this to make sure the IBC exists, or whatever he needs to do. We need that IBC. Immediately we have the IBC to answer the processes, the the usual processes. So everyone in their own constituency will be dealing with their MP. I think with the IBC in place, everyone is tired of these fuckers. Everyone is tired of this fucker. So the moment we have the IBC, everyone will do the needful wherever they will be. Then these milestones, we need to be setting them. The next milestone would be sack the entire cabinet. We push mpaka Ruto akuja aseme amechuja Linturi, amechuja Kindiki, ameifagia yote. This milestone, then that pressure, when that pressure builds up, then of course the Ruto must always be running in the background. Tunaweza push hivyo mpaka ago. Although it's a long shot for Ruto to go, but we can push him with those small milestones. We don't give him a breathing space. We don't even allow him to work. It's pressure under pressure under pressure. At a figure point, even the pressure, the surrounding pressures, the international bodies, watakuja succumb to the pressure, because now we won't be giving him space to do his dirty business. Yeah. So we need to set up those small milestones. Then another thing is Occupy Parliament should not end today. Every time these fuckers wanna meet, they go to Parliament and do a stupid thing. We occupy Parliament. I know there are so many stories about what happened the other day about Waseku invade Parliament. Personally, I think that was that was not the plan. The plan was to go to march at the to protest to inja Parliament, but because of the police force, polisi wanavuzushiana na sisi, they prompt people to get into Parliament. I don't think that was the plan. The plan was just to march to Parliament to protest hapo, but now the fujo ya polisi, they're trying to prevent us our rights. Marching outside the Parliament is not a bad thing, but sir, hiyo vita tu yao. So every time these fuckers do something stupid in Parliament, we march there. Every time they do something stupid, we march there. It shouldn't die from the previous time. So my point is, we need these small milestones that will help will keep us going, to show that we are getting into the president's nerves. Every time we wake up, tunasema, one, occupy the churches, no platform politician, including Ruto. Two, constitute the IBC, and this should be happening as soon as next week, because we need these fuckers gone, all of them. And people in the constituency levels, everyone is angry at them. So the moment we have the IBC, trust me, these fuckers, you'll see people collecting signature and motion and submitting them to IBC. Now the process will start. Then we have the sack the cabinets. These milestones will keep us going. These milestones will keep us going, and then we might achieve the big goal of Ruto going. Either way, mimi najua Ruto anaenda. Kama si sahi 2027, but anaenda regardless of the time, but he will go home. Otherwise, keep strong. The unity is more important. All we have is the unity. These people have the resources. All we have is the unity. So always have that in mind. So before tukane mse because I'm a change course, always know that we need them on our side. If you can convince them if they have been swayed away, if you can convince them to come back, I think it's much better than kumtukana and then he moves out. We all have followers. Even if you have 10 followers, there are 2 out of them when you wanakuaminia. So if people abuse you, you move with all your 2 followers, yeah? And all we need is to bring this together. So even those who wanna sway away, if we can bring them back, I think it's better than kuanza kutukanana, because all it does is break our unity. Otherwise, comrades, pamoja, and we do all we can to push umse away. Thanks.
Do I go next?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kimuzi, for this opportunity. Mimi, to be honest, haven't been doing very well emotionally. Is it murders and people dying, especially the kid who had bullets in his back. Hiyo kitu nashindwa hata kulala. I'm just unable to process how someone is ready to even kill kids. And frankly, hata venye, I think it was kina Cairo, I don't know nani alianza hiyo story ya I'm shaking. Whew. I don't know who started that story for dialogue on the timeline. And I'll be honest, I had started considering it. I started being like, okay, maybe a conversation can be had. Maybe there's a different way for us to get what we want. But then when I saw the kid with the bullets, like the back just full of bullets, and then I heard what was going on in Rongai yesterday, I don't think there's any conversation that can be had with these people. I genuinely, I might be wrong, but I don't think there's any conversation that can be had. And sasa, naogopa ata kusema my views or to be very charged up for this protest, because there's another very dangerous narrative that's come to the timeline, and it's been there for a long time. I know it's been there for a long time because I have friends who are older than me who have gone through the same thing, where Kenyans act as though Kenyans living in diaspora are less Kenyans, where people act as though because you don't live in Kenya, you shouldn't have a say, and you shouldn't be on the table, and you shouldn't have an opinion, and you shouldn't participate in anything. That is why part of both teams, both Azimio and NKK, when they were campaigning, one of the things on the agenda was to make diaspora a county on its own, because diaspora people have always been shunned. People only know to reach out to us when they want money. All right, when someone wants money, when they want us to contribute to the cause, saa hiyo ndio watu wanakumbuka watu wa diaspora wanakuanga na pesa. So tupeane pesa lakini tusipeane maoni. So me, I've been afraid because I'm like, I might say something and then people say I'm saying this from the safety of my home in DC. But let me tell you something. Diaspora people have brothers, have sisters, have parents, have godchildren, have nieces, nephews, friends who live in Kenya. So when anything happens to that group of people, it directly affects wherever you are. I cannot be at peace if my friend's child is sick in Nairobi. Why will I not be at peace? Because that friend doesn't have pesa ya kupeleka mtoto hospitali. So lazima atuweke sisi wote kwa WhatsApp group tuchange. If somebody dies, a parent dies or something happens, money is needed. Tena sitakuwa na amani. If my brother, my sister, those people don't have jobs, sitakuwa na amani. If my friends, brothers and sisters don't have jobs, sitakuwa na amani. So Kenyan problems find you wherever you are. It doesn't matter whether you're in the best country on earth, the happiest country on earth, Greenland, I don't know. It doesn't matter where you are. Kenyan problems find a way of finding you wherever you are, and you cannot escape. The only thing is you're just away, and now you're in a country where things work, but the stress of things not working in Kenya inakufikia wherever you are. So this narrative for diaspora people shouldn't speak, you shouldn't be telling people what to do, you shouldn't even have an opinion, you're safe. That is bullshit. And that's one of the reasons you've seen a lot of people who are pushing this narrative, especially guys in diaspora. Guys have kept quiet. Guys are not even contributing money anymore, because guys are like, sasa, if us participating will result in this kind of vitriol and this type of nonsense, afadhali ujinyamazie, because like for me, wherever I am, I'm busy. I have a job. I have things to do. I have people to see. It's summer. I'm supposed to be outside, partying and whatever. But I'm here every day on Twitter, either holding a space, pushing a hashtag. Now, still, even after I've done all, giving my money, and even after I've done all that, some wanker wants to talk about something that has nothing to do with me from 2018. Stupid people trying to bring down the cause, trying to cause division. And even if whatever is being said is true, for example, if one of the people that was vocal in this went and got paid pahali msi akampea do, even let's assume that happened, what does that have to do with our bigger cause? So that we keep on, as Kenyans, we keep on bringing this very dangerous narrative of attacking the people who are using all their energy, and this thing is draining emotionally. It's draining. Hakuna mtu anakaa hapa amefurahi sana kila siku kuretweet someone has died, someone is missing, appropriations bill has been passed. No one is happy. That shit is draining as fuck. And if we don't get our shit together and stand united, and we keep attacking people, because me, I don't fucking care if Hanifa was paid or if Boni was paid or if Khalif was paid. I don't fucking care. If they wake up and they push my hashtag and they talk about our issues and they articulate them, I don't fucking care. If Khalif uses this opportunity to brand himself and go on the media and talk about our issues and azunguke tu akiongea zile mambo zinafanya ye kama hiyo ndio inamfurahisha hivi, that is his form of protest, for me I'll not sit there and attack him. Why? Because we have a bigger picture. The bigger picture is Ruto must go. That is our bigger picture. Whether Jelani worked for Ruto 2 years ago, whether she worked for whatever happened 5 years ago, it doesn't matter. Whatever happened last week even doesn't matter. If someone stepped on you, doesn't matter. What is the goal today? The goal today is we are sending home the yes MPs and Ruto needs to go. Those are the goals. Can we just focus? Hizi kesi zote mnataka kuleta, zileteni kama tumewin. Don't we have one?
Jeleni, but you can't focus with the snakes in the room. You should declare your stand, to be very precise. Like you should declare your stand from the
My
word.
stand is Ruto must go.
I supported Ruto like you, but there is no way I'll ever support Ruto. You see, like people should not use this movement to promote their business or to promote their I don't know what else. They should use this platform to promote the real agenda, which is Ruto must go, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Someone died. So.
Absolutely. And for me, I'm just against the divisiveness that's been there. I think we all need to, because to be honest, if we all start producing receipts at Isijui who was paying we're going to lose. We're going to lose. For real, we're going to lose. So that's one of the things that's been really sitting heavily on me. The number two thing I heard you say, which was very important, I think it was you, Kimuzi, and the other lady who spoke before me, is when you live abroad, you realize how fucked up Kenyan leaders are. You know, I was telling my classmates this thing about the watches, the way these people are wearing $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 watches. You should have seen the looks on these people's faces, because nobody here wears that kind of watch, especially like a public servant. Unheard of. And the day you buy a watch like that, that's the day you're landing in prison. They will find out where you got the money. You will literally be jailed that same day. Even the way David Ndii speaks to people on this app, if you spoke like that to anybody as a public servant, any of these politicians, the way they have Kiburi, if you spoke like that in America to anybody, the next day you'll be out of a job. And I don't even think it's just America, even the UK, even just anywhere that's not Kenya, just abroad, if you behave like that in the West, you go home. So when you live abroad, you start to realize, fuck, we could do better. We could do better at home. And it charges you up. And si ati hata unataka ku-incite watu, ni kukasirika. Unakuanga tu umekasirika. Like it really makes you boil with anger when you see what is happening at home. Me personally, the deaths have really shaken me. I'm more angry than I ever was. I'm not even sleeping. My friends have been checking on me. I don't want to relent. I don't want us to lose steam. Let us push forward. Let us move forward. Kama kuna mtu anasikia nimemkosea with my remarks and what I've been saying, tafadhali, me was not saying those things for myself. I was saying them for our greater cause. So if there's somebody mwenye anasikia kabisa nilimkosea, nimesema pole, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I don't think any of us has ever been in a revolution before. None of us. There are no rules of engagement. Hakuna pahali kuna book of etiquette, what you can and you can't say. I just want our message to be heard. And if I offended you with how I put out what I wanted to say, I am sorry. Okay? I am sorry. Let's move forward. Let's stand united. Let's work together. Ruto must go to Tikagwagwe. Let us not give up. Let us not lose heart. Let us be strong. Okay? Nimemaliza.
Okay, thank you for your for your contribution. I understand your sentiments, especially on the looking past, like saying who voted for who. It's not that time, because from the timeline I can check, most people who are saying Ruto must go are the people who voted for him, who even campaigned for him, and that's so good. So me, I appreciate, because it shows that we've woken up as a people. We are not, and we can't look back and say, oh, you did this, so you're not supposed to talk. But I want to talk about the people who are using this cause to promote themselves. It's not good, because you see people died, people lost their lives, and you can. It's not good to build on that to push your personal brand. I don't think that's ethical. But again, we've never been in a revolution before, and there'll be so many parts in this, so there'll be so many people, distractors and everything. But we have to stay focused on the cause. So next speaker, please, a gentleman.
Can I speak for 1 second? Just 1 second to echo what Lee was saying. Just a second. I won't take more than that 3 seconds. Lee has mentioned about those people, misappropriation of funds, like use of, she's mentioning wearing a watch of 6 million. I want to state, and if they're listening, or whoever, they have intelligence, they need to remind him that, it is not about you flaunting to the citizens that have employed you. In Australia, the Prime Minister comes to church like a local man. I've gone to church where the Prime Minister comes to church. He drives himself to church. You ask him for a photo, he will agree. He will take a photo with you. That shows you the essence of being in those positions. The essence of standing there for the people, not for yourself, for the people. A whole motorcade. I watched his motorcade. It is annoying. It is painful in 2024 that people in those offices are still misappropriating money and flaunting with a whole motorcade. What is the motorcade for? A whole minister here he drives himself. Anajiendesha kwa gari. Who are you? An African leader. What country are we building? We're just demolishing. I am angry. I should not even continue. I was 3 seconds. Thank you.
The Australian leaders are just as bad, excuse me.
Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay. One thing, like I was telling someone, the reality of the generation of our mothers, that we are four siblings, and I was telling this person, I have a certain, I'm sure you can kill all of our 4 siblings, me and my brother, my 2 sisters, and all my mother could say is tumemwachia Mungu. So this is to give you an idea of what we are dealing with in form of like our leaders. And there's a very good reason why in Africa, including Kenya, there will never be peaceful protest. It's because like the moment you have peaceful protest, it means like you are able to keep everyone accountable of their actions. And that's something they will never allow. Even if, yeah, we'll keep going, we'll keep going, fighting the one hashtag, which is very important. But we need also to realize there will always be sabotage by this politician, because the moment they are peaceful protest, it's a nightmare for them. And I agree with the lady who said we really need to push the one hashtag as the mother of everything, and have like an itemized thing of what we need, so that even if Caliph is going to talk on the radio, as long as he's highlighting some of our agendas, we are still on course. He's still giving the whole movement the momentum we need. The momentum will be there no matter someone proclaim self-leadership and everything and all those kind of bullshit. So we really need that, like the mother, Ruto must go, and then we really need an itemized item of what we really need to achieve, so that at least no matter the period it takes, we already have a clear plan. So if you go and talk on radio, at least they will always, as long as you're talking within the documentation, we come as a space together, at least that will give us momentum to keep going. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. We hear you. We hear you. Lady
I'm going to go
Winnie
next,
or
please,
Vincent?
because I've been
Okay.
waiting for quite a while, if that's okay.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry for
No,
that.
that's fine. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I think it was Vincent who wanted to speak. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I realized if I didn't jump in. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I hope you can hear me clearly, because just let me know if you can't. Na in a drop ikikuja.
We can hear
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Don't worry.
First, I really want to just, my utmost and deepest sincere condolences to the, family, friends, loved ones of our fallen heroes. I think it's really important we hold space for them. So just wanted to put that out there. And also the people in hospital, those who are still nursing injuries, some minor, some major. I mean, those families are also very affected. So just wanted to really, my heart goes out to them. But I'll focus on giving some practical suggestions that I've been thinking about throughout this week, in line with the topic of this space, which is about the way forward, especially after losing our heroes, our fallen heroes. So first of all, I think one thing we must do, which I think many people are alluding to in many ways, is that we need to keep these people in our collective consciousness. What do I mean? Kenyans tunakwanga na shida ya kusahau sana. And that's why every election year, we regurgitate the same old bad politicians. And so if we don't keep these people's names, faces, images in people's collective consciousness, very soon they might be forgotten. And there are practical ways we can do that. Some people have suggested a vigil. I think that's a good idea. I saw a poster of like activities or actions for the next week. I think there was one around printing their images and posting them like all around, whether it's in the streets or whatever. I really agree with that kind of idea. Let's tweet and retweet their names, their images, use the hashtag, say their names, that kind of thing. I've been doing that a lot, that, say their names, hashtag lest we forget, hashtag say their names. Because I just think otherwise, I mean, even these churches, this thing of occupying churches, I think one thing we can compel churches to do, hold minutes of silence for them, and not just minutes of silence. As that is happening, those screens zenye zinakwanga kwa church zikionyesha hymn number, sijui the hymn, sijui what, let them be showing images of our fallen heroes so that this thing remains in our collective consciousness. We don't forget, because this will be something that will now also push us. And just to remember, like, blood was spilled, people were lost, people died. Let's keep that in our consciousness. And that's that. Number two, and I will respond to, there's a gentleman who spoke, and I completely hear where he was coming from. Like, people have died. Why aren't people angry enough? Why is the energy going down? Really hear you. I also hear you when you say we should keep relenting. I really hear that. But the truth is this: if you look at movements that have existed long before us, for example, the anti-racism movements or, those kinds of things, healing and restoration goes hand in hand with activism. Why? Because activism is tiring and we are humans. People get depleted. People's energies get depleted. Right now, in addition to just the general depletion of energy, there is so much heaviness in people's hearts, heartbreak, pain, anger. And when I came into the space, there was a lady saying, how she's been a mental wreck. People's mental health has been affected. People cannot give what they don't have. Self-care is important. And part of, healing and restoration is also about our self-care. So my challenge to you guys who've been excellent at organizing these spaces, and Maze, kudos to you guys, you've been doing such a great job, is can we also be holding spaces, regular spaces for healing and restoration? And there are frameworks that already exists, like healing justice frameworks, CG what. It's not my area of expertise, but I know movements that have gone before us have frameworks that can provide us with this kind of healing and restoration, which then re-energizes us, keeps us replenished, because this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. We need our energy to be sustained. But it will not be sustained if it's all the time rage. People must give, people must be angry, because we are human. Guys will get depleted, and that's just a fact. So please, Akina Kimuzi and company, I hope I said your name correct, but let's please just try and organize some spaces that focus on not even venting. We know the problems, and we can have spaces for venting and reiterating the problem, but let's also just have spaces that are about holding space for our healing and restoration. And by the way, healing, restoration, and rest is also a form of resistance. Let's not forget that. That is also resistance. So we can be energetic so that we can, fight the long fight, basically. That was my second point. Third point, I think it's very important for us to have a very serious discussion about what next after Ruto must go. Because right now, fully on board with the thing of pushing Ruto must go, but and then, because what history has shown us from other movements, look at the Arab Spring, for example. If you don't have clear steps about what next, either the country will go into anarchy or we will end up in a far worse position than we are in now, with worse leaders, more oppressive regimes, etc. And you see mimi ninasema, the history is there. We can look at, like, the Arab Spring is a very good example, for example. So I think even as we push the Ruto must go, we have to have very serious discussions about, and then, so that we don't find ourselves in the situations we've seen other countries in. Let's really think carefully and strategically. And there are people who can advise us. Like, we've got LSK. There are so many people who can advise us. Okay, in practice, tuseme Ruto resign, hata kama ni next week, what does that really mean in practice? Like, what does that look like? How do we make sure our country doesn't degenerate into anarchy? How do we make sure we don't end up with another more oppressive regime? So we need to have serious discussions about what next after Ruto must go. And also, let's push. I really like this idea of pushing things like recalling our MPs. Reconstitution of IBC. Why hasn't IBC been reconstituted mpaka wa leo? Kwa nini? Is it deliberate? And why? Can we also push those practical things? Reconstitute IBC, recall your MPs, etc. It's okay for us to all be in agreement about Ruto must go. I'm not refusing, but there are other things we can do, like recalling our MPs, ensuring that IBC is reconstituted soon. My second last point, to the ladies in the diaspora, completely hear you, and your anger is valid in many ways. However, let's not also romanticize leaders from the West. I have lived in those countries for a long time, nearly a decade. I've been back home for the last 15 years. The reason those leaders work well is because systems work. It's not because they're so righteous or they're so good or they're better people than our African leaders. It's because systems work. And they know they can't get away with some of the crap we see our leaders getting away with because huko hawezi. So si ati ni kwa sababu ni watu wazuri sana. So let's also push this narrative of let our systems work. If systems work, leaders will also behave well. If systems do not work, that is why they can get away with anything they want to get away with. It's not that those people are better human beings than us. They're not. They're just as corrupt. They're just as bad. But they know they can't get away with some of the crap that our leaders get away with. Finally, please, Wase, Jana, it broke my heart to see how well divide and conquer worked. Let's maintain the unity. It is normal to have disagreements. Hata kwa familia, wacha ati kwa movement kwenye hata tujuani. Even with your families, your siblings, your spouses, your partners, you will disagree, you will argue. But no, it doesn't mean you throw them under the bus, sijui this, sijui what. No, please. Divide and conquer is one of the oldest tricks of the book, or whatever you say. Even Wakoloni used it on us. And that's why we even have so many ethnic divisions in our country. Let us resist divide and conquer. Let us stay united. We can disagree. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but let's not allow that to divide us. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I will now be quiet. Asante.
Hi, Kamuzi, may I speak now? May I speak?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, you can go on. Oliat, you can be costing you and big something a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. I'll invite. Okay, sir.
There's a few things I'd like to discuss. One is to put this in a global context and in a global perspective. And the second, to get back on topic and propose a way forward that I've put on a Twitter comment of Kamuzu. So first, in terms of the global perspective, understand who is fucking us, okay? Now, I think people are becoming aware of the IMF. The IMF came out of 1944, out of the Bretton Woods Conference, where the US was playing a major role after World War II. The IMF, the largest shareholder of the IMF is the US and the World Bank, right? They own both of them, pretty much. So the policies that they come out of there are basically from the US military-industrial complex, okay? And this is where Ruto has been sucked in and is an agent of destruction for them. Now, Another thing that's important about the global perspective is that the US is done. They are cooked, they are finished. BRICS will destroy them. BRICS, once they go off the petrodollar, the US is fucked beyond all recognition, and they know it. And that's why they're either going to go nuclear and push World War III, or they're going to have to back down, admit their corruption, admit their mistakes. They've killed 20 million people since World War II. They've destroyed 35 countries. You know, let's not make Kenya next. Okay, so let's hold that perspective. Now, in terms of the people from the diaspora that have spoken, the Westminster system is screwed. I was born in Australia, okay, and the woman that spoke there about how lovely it is there or whatever, they're not. They're just as corrupt, if not worse. You have an MP like Daniel Andrews that earns $150,000 a year, and somehow, at the end of his career, leaves politics and is worth over $100 million. Okay, they're just as bad, if not worse, because they hide it much better. Now, in terms of the way forward, I mentioned the Westminster system is screwed all around the world. Okay, it's failed every single time. What we need is to fully decentralize government. And what I mean by that, we should have direct democracy, the same system as, say, Switzerland has. Citizens vote on every major decision, and there's no need for so many representatives. We should have decentralized decision making. It should be distributed across the local councils. There's 47 counties. And we should reduce the size of the federal system. Everything needs to be on blockchain technology. Okay, so it's transparent, it's immutable, and it's decentralized. So all votes are recorded. Every law and every government action needs to be on the blockchain, so it's publicly visible. The whole system needs to be run by smart contracts to automate all the execution of government functions and services. What I'm discussing is a new paradigm. The old paradigm does not work. We need community governments, we need accountability, and we need to remove corruption. So what I'm proposing is that I'm in the blockchain industry. I've been in IT for 25 years. I've probably built most of the systems for major banks all around the world. I've stopped doing that because I know exactly how corrupt they are, because their databases are on my systems. And I've changed my ways. I'm not helping these fuckers anymore, and I've moved to a decentralized world, and I'm working to do things like that at the moment. Now, what I'm proposing is, if you're a crypto guy, if you're an IT guy, if you're a lawyer, if you're a policy writer, please comment on my Twitter. I suggest that we put forward a Twitter space to get some policies together to redesign the framework. The only place in the world that this can happen is Kenya. Why? Demographic we have is over 50-60% of the population is between 90 and 30, and they understand the technology. The technology is available. It's now. The rest of the world is terrified of it. The banks have been terrified of it for decades, and it's easily implemented. It will take time, but I mean, by the time Ruto gets out, and hopefully he gets out tomorrow, but it looks as though it may be 2027. We can put forward these systems, and as a group, with no leader, introduce accountability via technology that can never be corrupted. And we can design this framework together. So please join me. I'm willing to spend as much time as I can to facilitate it. And I know that there's plenty of people in Kenya that have the capability. It's very simple to implement, and I want to do this. I want to create a decentralized voting system. We need to implement these smart contracts and design this framework. It's not hard. That's a piece that I would like to be involved in terms of facilitating it. And there's many other pieces. The protests and the other stuff maybe it doesn't need to stop. I don't want to see anybody hurt. But this whole thing needs to be tackled on different levels. You are young, you're agile. Do not fall. Even if we get new leaders into Kenya, in this framework, in this current Westminster system, they will do exactly the same fucking thing. It's happening all over the world. Let Kenya be the Wakanda. Let us lead the world in how a system of government can be put on chain and held accountable at every fucking level. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm a 54-year-old man that has watched the West fail. It is gone. It is shot. They're all coming after Kenya and Africa because China's getting too expensive. Southeast Asia's getting too expensive. And they want you to remain poor. Okay? Let's not fucking make it happen and turn it on its head. Let's build these decentralized systems, a new form of government. Let's work together to, it can be done. Forums like this, we can have 10 or 15 different forums tackling different angles. We come back together and we say, you know what, this is the form of government that we want. You either accept it or you don't. You can work in a caretaker mode at the moment. You will be fucking punished, those that need to be punished, because it never needs to be happening again. But we move forward and we tackle this piece by piece, break it down. And in terms of the infrastructure framework to build this system, I'm happy to facilitate the discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'll have to cut you short. Thank you for your sentiments. Winnie, I'm trying to add as many people as possible to the speakers, so bear with me. Winnie, you can have the mic.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. So first, a moment of silence back home, full of pain, and they're angry about the betrayal from the same government that vows to protect them, to protect us, and to those forced to hide and flee home, and to us, all of us in this space, and the ones who are not here. I know it is exhausting. As you can hear from my voice, it is exhausting. But also at the same time, kudos for maintaining the momentum. I mean, it is so beautiful to see how our shared vision is buoying us. A few things. The crowdfunding, I don't know if it's still ongoing. The host and the co-host, you can speak to that. If it's still ongoing, everybody in the space, please donate in the M-Changa. We can see how transformational it has been during this period. As someone who's very politically aware and active, I haven't seen anything like this before. Before, people have died, people have been injured, and they have been left to their families to cater for agitating for the betterness of this country. The political class has run away when people were in need. Blood donation. Please go to KNH and donate if you haven't. But also the most important thing, let's not slow down on the civic education, including through social media, what we are doing right here, speaking, having conversations about the most pressing issues of today in this country. Please continue making noise, amplify the messages. We must safeguard our rights. These rights were fought for with tears, blood, people on their feet, on their knees, in torture chambers. Our parents fought for them. Our forefathers fought for them. We must preserve and strengthen. And now more than ever, we must strengthen these rights. Because, I mean, as everyone can see, they are under threat. So finance bill is off the table. But what about the appropriations bill? What are these people budgeting for? Our social services are literally on their knees, but these people are budgeting for corruption. So the conversation has to continue going. As you can see, the human rights defenders today are saying that 122 people in Naivasha are about to spend their fourth night in jail today, including minors, because the court has pronounced a punitive cash bail of around 100,000 for each of them to secure their freedom. That I've picked verbatim from what the human rights defenders are saying. But how is this possible in a country where a majority of us survive on under $2 a day? Anyway, to my next point, as you're aware, there are calls for dialogue, but we can all see they are disingenuous. One of the recurring themes that all of us, I think, in this space has been speaking about is our economic performance is poor. And we keep on telling this government to cut down on the spending and the brazen theft. And this is why I'm saying the calls for dialogue are not genuine. But even as we're saying that they need to cut down on the spending and the brazen theft, it shouldn't be at the expense of our public services, including education, social protection, and healthcare. They must preserve our access to quality public services. That's the only thing we owe them. I mean, these people earn and steal so much to do their job. But also, I need to put them on notice that they do not have the monopoly of knowledge. We understand issues. Na penye imetushinda tunasaidiana. And that's why we're on this space today. We have seen, even during the demonstrations, we have broken down even the most difficult jargon in the most simplest words that a primary kid can understand. So they should not think they have the monopoly of knowledge. Speaking on the topic of the space, what's the way forward? The way forward is to not give up. We have to transmute the pain caused by the betrayal of bad governance that we are striving to change. But most importantly, the response we have received. I mean, look at the doublespeak. Look at the worst crimes committed against us. Look at children dying. Look at the state-sponsored propaganda to weaken the movement. We must continue exerting pressure. Things must change. We are setting a precedent. And as such, we cannot afford to back down. We must press on. You know that meme that says, pinya kabisa, pinya kabisa. We have to pinya kabisa. Last bit, after we are done with this, I know there are so many things we want to revisit. We want to revisit the role of corporate institutions in enabling the government to further curtail our rights. And I know Safaricom is on notice. We will revisit when we are done with this government. But also from where I'm sitting, and people have spoken to this, the role of the discriminatory international governance system must also be our priority. International financial institutions, and notably the IMF, that now more than ever, they're rather saying that they will not back down on the retrogressive conditions. They have to. Because, I mean, Kenya is on its knees. What is happening is also a result of the tax injustice and the debt crisis that we are facing. On this, I want to say, and I'd said this before, Ruto has blood on his hands, but so does the IMF. And I dare say the international governance system. So as I'm finishing, in solidarity with everyone in the country and in this space, Ruto must go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ruto must go. That's the message. I would like to urge.
Can I go? I've been waiting for quite a while.
Okay, just a minute before. Speakers who have spoken, kindly drop the mic so we can be able to add more people to speak. Okay, continue.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to try to be as take as the short to say. Express the utmost respect for those who have lost during this journey, those who are in the hospitals, and to each and every one of us here. Honor our fallen heroes. I'd suggest the reason why I'd take us back to Black Lives Matter movement, and the reason why the whole world associates. They gave us the humanity side of those who try. Let us also show the lives of these people who have died. The government is trying to paint them as thieves, thugs, treasonous people, but we know them. We went to school with them. Some are our neighbors, brothers, sisters. So let us document all these. that these people that we've lost were out there, not with any ulterior motives, but fighting for their rights. Then two, I'd like us to remember also what got us here was not instant. We are here because it's been an accumulation of Reject Finance Bill was just the straw that